I'm Jason Rzucidlo, reporting from the Inn at St. John's in Plymouth. Organizers from the 39th Annual Concours D'Elegance of America just offered us a preview of this year's show, which will be held from July 28th until the 30th.
You know, there's probably about 50 different concours, maybe more. There seems to be one every week, every month in the country. We have always been noted as one of the top 2 or 3 concours in the country. And from our beginning 39 years ago, our founder, Don Summer, said that the success of a concours is a function of the relationships that you build. And we're very fortunate because we've built some great relationships out there, and it is what has allowed us to ask one of the greatest collectors in the world, Arturo Keller, and his wife Deborah, to accept the honor of being our Collector of the Year. Now, they've accepted, and as I think you heard from Brian, they're going to be bringing 5 phenomenal cars. The Keller collection is one of the top collections in the world. People won't see these cars anywhere else. They probably haven't seen them, period. And never will you see these cars together like you're going to see them this coming July 30th. It is, without question, one of the greatest collections, one of the greatest exhibits of cars, the feature of which is called Aerodynamic Coupes. And as Brian alluded to before, we've got a Autobahn Courier, 1938 Mercedes-Benz 540K. That was a first-class winner at Pebble Beach. It won Best in Show at Villa d'Este. It won Best in Show at Louis Vuitton. His Tabellago, which is the poster car. There are only 4 known examples built. This is the last one. The Duesenberg, the Mud Coupe, very famous car. As Brian mentioned, the body that has a cloth body panel. Phenomenal car, short wheelbase, originally was bodied by Durham, rebodied by Bowman and Schwartz. One of the rarest Mercedes-Benz cars in existence. The Fiat Coupe and Alfa Romeo. And you'll see these cars, or some of these cars at least, for all you media types, on your zip drive that you can get, I think, in the back of the room from our PR people. But the Fiat Coupe and Alfa Romeo, that's just a wild-looking car. And the Bentley and Berco's Coupe, we were talking about this before, is arguably one of the most expensive, was the rarest certainly, but one of the most expensive Bentleys in existence. Point is that our spectators are going to see one of the greatest collections from one of the greatest collectors, and we're thrilled because no other concours in the country can and is doing this. In addition, what relationships do is they help us with our Enthusiast of the Year this year, and corralling, we didn't have to do much because Ralph and Doris Gilles are phenomenal supporters of this event. They have been around for many years, they've helped us, and we're thrilled this year to honor Ralph as our Enthusiast of the Year. Brian Joseph, our car selection chairman, alluded to all the great features that we've got, and Diane, of course, mentioned all the other ancillary events. We are, of course, as you all know, a concours. It is, in the end, about the cars. And on July 30th, spectators will see 300 of the greatest cars, some of the most phenomenal cars they can ever see that have ever been shown. And they have one shot to do this, that's July 30th.
In 2011, our concours moved to this beautiful inn at St. John's in Plymouth, and we celebrate 3 days now of automotive-related events. And we're the 2nd oldest concours in the country, so we're very proud of that as well. All of our events are not only for our concours participants, but they're for the general public as well. So all of you are invited in to enjoy the fun. And I'll kind of run down the roster of what we have going on. 15 events in 3 days are a lot of moving parts. So on Friday the 28th of July, all the collectible automobiles will depart from the Inn at St. John's on the Haggerty Motoring Tour. And we'll drive from the Inn at St. John's to Pontiac, where we'll tour the private collection of Larry Smith. And Larry Smith happens to have the really great 73 Ferrari, the Daytona that's right over here. Larry's a member of our board, his collection's private, so we're happy that he's opened it up for our motoring tour. Thank you, Larry. The tour ends at M1 Concourse, And that's a gated garage condo community and racetrack. If you haven't been there, you need to join us. It's in Pontiac, and attendees on the Haggerty Motoring Tour are going to enjoy a gourmet buffet lunch. We'll have garage tours, we'll have some track experiences and more. You can see Matt Zervik. Matt Zervik, raise your hand. Ken Cox from M1. They'll tell you a little bit more about the experiences. They just opened up a new burn box there. Our Enthusiast of the Year, Ralph Gilles, will be there. And rumor has it he's challenged a couple other gentlemen from the automotive industry to join him. And he threw down the gauntlet. So I don't know what these three men are going to do, but I don't think you want to miss this. So the Haggerty Motoring Tour, buy a ticket on the 28th of July. The Concours Invitational Art Exhibit opens on Friday inside the Inn at St. John's, right here in the Garden Gallery where you enjoyed your breakfast this morning. This exhibition is open for 3 days. We have 11 artists from around the world. Our local artist, Tom Hale of Northville, is our featured artist this year. He created the poster art that we have on the circle banner to my right. And his bio and the original art for this work is in the lobby here at the Inn at St. John's, and it will remain on display until our Concours weekend. In addition, we had another piece of art developed by a designer from FCA. His name is Ren Stone, and that's featured on this circle banner. So we have two posters and 2 pieces of art this year. RM Sotheby's is our official auction house. They will present a salon of cars over the weekend. Even though they are not having an auction this year, they are still our partner. They're still very much involved, and we're happy to have them on board. On Friday night, Kip Sheward Motorsports will present Battle of the Brands out in the front parking lot. Everybody's invited to attend that. Bring your sports car. Last year, Porsche had the most cars of anyone, any mark, and they were all excited that they won a trophy and had their picture taken, so it's going to be quite a rivalry, so come on out and have fun. It's kind of like Cars and Coffee at night. To benefit JDRF on Friday night, we have our 3rd Motor City Mingle sponsored by RM Sotheby's, and that is for the benefit of JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research. Guests will be treated to an incredible sit-down surf and turf dinner. We'll have hors d'oeuvres in this room with the cars from RM Sotheby's. We'll have the artists next door, so it'll be a lovely evening. And then we'll go down for dinner in the atrium. We'll have a live band. Our master of ceremonies is Jean Jennings from Jean Knows Cars. And thanks to some generous donors and Tim Jennings, her husband, who's in the room today, thanks Tim, they've come up with some amazing live auction items, and we really need to thank the people that donated those. Lexus has donated generously a culinary classic experience that will go to Sausalito, California. It's airfare. It's the Cavallo Point Lodge, where you'll be treated to 2 nights in this amazing culinary experience. So we have details of that we can give you. RM Sotheby's has donated a tour of their restoration shop in Ontario Province, and they will come and pick people up in vintage cars. They will treat them to dinner at a very nice restaurant and an evening at the Retro Suites in Chatham. So it's a Class A experience. Hyundai has again generously donated a Super Bowl package, Super Bowl 52, 2 tickets to the Super Bowl on February 4th. That's round-trip coach tickets and 3 nights hotel lodging. Ralph Gilles, again in one concourse, they're opening up their garage, and we'll have a condo experience for up to 20 people. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And last but least, Aramark and DTE Energy, their executive chef, Jay Schweitzer, will come to your house and do a barbecue for 10 of your friends. And it includes beer and wine. So those are the auction items. If you want to bid on those in advance, we are taking advance bids. You can see Tim Jennings. He's got his little chart out, or see any of us. But these are really exciting. Bruce Meyer from the Checkered Flag group of the Peterson Museum is bringing in almost 100 guests. And he again has generously donated a tour of his own personal collection in LA, along with Jay Leno's collection, and a personal tour of the Peterson Museum. So that's always been a popular auction item here. So if we're not all tired by Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, we invite all of you to come to Cars and Coffee out in our parking lot. For the second year, LBI Limited is our sponsor. They're a trio of really knowledgeable young car guys based out of Pennsylvania, the next generation car guys. They're our hosts. Again, M1 Concours, they're everywhere. They announced last week that they are moving their Cars and Coffee, hosted by Car and Driver, Bigby, and Haggerty, to our Cars and Coffee with LBI. Matt told me, and he counts these people, he's got a lot of fingers and toes. He counted last Saturday they had 2,182 cars at their Cars and Coffee. Wow. So if you live anywhere near this Inn at St. John's, Saturday the 29th, hold on, because we hope we just jam the area with awesome electric cars. So come and have fun with us. Concours D'Elegance is going to be happening out in the first fairway, out by the road. That's put on by Ellen Galbraith out of California. It's a spoof on all the great cars that really never quite made it, like Corvair, the Pinto that I used to own, Chevette, all the Gremlin, all the cars that are so-called the orphan, not so popular cars. So if you have a car like that, bring it to Concours D'Elegance. He's got great trophies and it's fun. Haggerty sponsors that as well. On Saturday, we offer a seminar series that is going to be unbelievable this year. We're very proud that Haggerty and Bosch have both stepped up to sponsor those seminars. In the Judea room, we'll have a barn find seminar that starts at 9 a.m. It features a couple of guys that you might know from television, Wayne Carini and Tom Cotter. And Tom Cotter just finished his book, Michigan Barn Finds. So he'll be here to sign his book and to talk about what he found in the barns of Detroit, which it's pretty cool. So, and then in this room, right after that seminar is over, we have the 5 generations of Viper, and we will have the 5 fathers of those Vipers, and Ralph Gilles being one of them. So with the Viper production ending at the end of August, this is kind of a final farewell and a celebration of that Viper production. So there'll be transmission people here, engine people here, anybody who's touched the Viper. This is like a very near and dear thing, like a homecoming. So we're really excited about that and glad to have that here. After lunch, we will have a seminar back in the Judea room, and Mark Gessler of Historic Vehicle Association will talk to you more about that in a moment. But that seminar is presented by Haggerty. And then back into this ballroom, David Rand, David, raise your hand. David Rand will be presenting a seminar on aerodynamic styling, and we hope to have all 5 of the Keller aerodynamic style cars in this room that Brian Joseph will tell you about in a little while. So those 4 seminars are incredible. There's no cost to attend those, so please come by and enjoy those. In the middle of the day, we're going to break, just like the racing over in Europe. We're going to break for lunch, have a little wine. Our Saturday luncheon is going to benefit our charity partner, Project Beautiful Inside Note, founded by Doris Gilles. Project Beautiful assists women in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties who have come up with some hardship. They do everything from clothing to household goods to food. I mean, they're just amazing what they do. Paula Tetman from WDIB, Local 4, will again MC our program. And this year we've invited Chef Derek Watson from the award-winning Restaurant of the Year, the Bistro 82 and Namori, to do a mystery basket culinary challenge. If you've ever watched Chopped, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be down in the atrium. We have a special guest that'll be one of the culinary contestants. Her name is Micah Sanders. She's turning 14 next week. She was one of the young ladies from Detroit that appeared on Gordon Ramsay's Top Chef Junior. She was one of the final contestants. So Micah's going to give these older kids, I'll call it, from the culinary schools locally that are the contestants a run for their money. So that's going to be fun to watch this Mystery Basket Chopped contest. And we thank Abood Law for sponsoring that, and Justin Neer for helping us put that together. Saturday night outside, where we have Cars and Coffee and Battle of the Brands, we have Concorso Date Night. So if you enjoy Italian cars, you have an Italian cars, you're just looking for something to do on a fun date night, buy a ticket, bring your date, enjoy Italian food, libations, and some music, and some great Italian cars outside in front of the inn. We're going to have fun. It's going to be like an Italian grotto. Okay, now we're going to make it till Sunday. We know we are. We're still going to have some energy left. So on Sunday's our main event, the 39th annual Concours D'Elegance of America. It's open to all of you media credential holders and VIPs at 9 a.m. The general public gate time is 10 o'clock. You'll be treated to the sight of almost 300 automobiles on our show field and motorcycles, and they range from 31 states and countries. So we're really pleased with our lineup. We attract a crowd of almost 14,000. Our show is open until 4 p.m. right after the awards ceremony, but it takes a little while for our field to clear. We have vendors and manufacturers such as Genesis, Lexus, Chevrolet. They'll all be showcasing some exciting cars, so we welcome you to come out and see what they have in store. Our collectors of the year are Deborah and Arturo Keller from Petaluma, California, and they'll exhibit 5 of their exquisite aerodynamic coupes that I spoke about a minute ago. Sadly, they could not get their 37 Talbot logo here today in time, but it will be on our show field on Sunday. I know some of you were looking for that car today, so it did not quite make it here. We know where it is, but it's too far away to get it here right at this minute. Ralph Gilles, the head of FCA Global Design, is our Enthusiast of the Year. We're very honored. He will present a display of 12 cars under the banner Form Follows Passion. And these cars define his career and his love for the car hobby. The 1957 Alfa Romeo Zagato that's here is one of those cars, and Mark Gessler will address why that car is special to Ralph and why it's here today. So we'll let Mark handle that. You know, finding these astounding and rare cars to fill our Concours field takes countless hours. You know, you just gotta go out and find the rare stuff, and we want people to walk on our field and just be blown away and say, where did you ever find that? And we have a wonderful car selection committee that works all year to find and invite these cars. So heading up that committee is Brian Joseph. He's on our board of directors. He's the chairman of our car selection committee. And Brian, would you please come up and share with people some of the highlights of our show?
I will.
Thank you. And Brian was in the shop working today at what, 4:30? Yeah, he's getting cars ready for this show, Pebble Beach. He has classic and exotic services. They restore all these fine automobiles. So he got rid of his shop clothes and got dressed up to come here. So thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Diane. Well, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all the classes that we have, starting with the motorcycles. So you can see Gordon Rinchler's Indian over here. It's a 1943 Indian. Our class is going to feature military motorcycles. So that's super high style, but they are an interesting period of motorcycle development. We're going to have an international group of motorcycles. So they're going to range from Harley Davidson Indian, BSA Cushman, and I think we have another English car, but I don't have an English bike, but I don't have it on the list. So it's going to be an interesting group of motorcycles for everybody to take a look at. And you can see Gordon's is absolutely beautiful, in perfect condition, and he restored it. He does a great job. Our Gaslight class, we have some interesting cars there. A 1903 Thomas Flyer. I don't know how many people know that Thomas Flyer went all the way around the world in a race, and they won the race, which was later than this. Of 1903, sort of the beginning of the Thomas Flyer Company, which they were made in New York. Quite an interesting car. And we're having a 1907 Success. And I never heard of a Success before, so I don't know if anybody else here heard of a Success, but it's an interesting, like a buckboard type thing. Big wood wheels, wood frame, very primitive car. And this is a totally, completely original car, which will be very exciting to see. It's nice to see beautifully restored cars, but to see an original car, especially something this old, is a real treat because things were different then. The products that were available were different, the process was different. The whole mental idea of what a car was completely different, obviously, going from carriages into automobiles. This is sort of the transitional period. Then later in our Jazz Age class, we have a real interesting 1918 Romer touring car. And a Romer is a very rare car today. In this period of time, there was thousands of automobile manufacturers in America. So the Romer is a unique feature. It's a beautiful car, freshly restored a couple years ago. It'll be exciting to see that. We have an Auburn Cord class, so like we have a couple of Auburn Speedsters in there, which the 851 Speedster and 8100A. You know, Auburn had a series of Speedsters that they started making in 1928 and then finished in 1936. And so these are two of the representations. You'll see more of them in our Speedster class. We actually have a class of boat-tail Speedsters I'll cover a little bit later. Our American Popular class is one of the classes that I think is a real extraordinary thing. So many times at car shows, it's all this ultimate, elite, amazing automobiles that were fabulously expensive, you know, built, custom, fancy. These are just production cars. So 1929 Buick, 28 Studebaker, 32 Chrysler, and then a bunch of later, past 1935 American cars, Graham, Nash, Chrysler. And if you look at the styling of these cars, it's not really so much radically different, but they have a great style to them. There was a lot of beautiful cars made in America for the common man, and these cars were styled and designed by professional designers. Some of them were famous, some of them were just people who worked in the design studios, but I always liked this class because it's not the sort of thing you see. And one of the things is that in this period of time, Americans weren't driving convertibles like you see today with all the old cars. Everybody buys convertibles, so it's interesting to see closed cars from that period. So that's going to be a great class. I always love to see that. And I know Keith Flickinger likes that class too. He was always impressed with that period of time. So we have an American Classic class, both with closed cars and open cars. So one of the cars we have is a 34 Chrysler Airflow Imperial Coupe. It's just an absolutely gorgeous car. It's interesting to me that at the time when Chrysler came out with the Airflow, the design was kind of rejected by the American populace. It didn't cotton to them. They just didn't think that's the way a car should look. Where today, everybody goes crazy for the Airflow. So the styling is enduring, but at the time it didn't successfully sell. So it's kind of a problem. I don't know how many people have heard about Ralph Morano's car that went into a pond down at Hilton Head. It rolled backwards into a pond. Well, they fixed it, they drained it, they dried it, and that car's going to be at our show. And it's interesting because it has a roof that lifts straight up above the windshield line, like for ventilation. It doesn't come off, but it comes up. And so it's a unique, one-of-a-kind car, and just fresh from the bath. And then Steve Plunkett's going to bring a 41 Cadillac, like a one-off, total one-off car that General Motors built. And every single part of this car is special to this car. It was designed to be used by royalty. It's a very special car, and he's going to bring that. That's going to be exciting to see. In our American Classic Open class, Joe Cassini is bringing a 1932 Stutz DV32. So that's a 32 valve, an 8-cylinder engine, double red cam, 4 valves per cylinder. And this is a Rolston body, a very special one-off body. And Terry Adderley and Jennifer Adderley are bringing their 1935 Duesenberg SJ torpedo Phaeton. They built 5 torpedo Phaetons in production, 1 by Brunn, 2 by Wayman, and now my brain escapes and the other 2 by somebody else. So anyway, Terry won Best of Show at Amelia Island with this car, and it's been a real long-term restoration from a car that in the 50s was stolen and driven into a bridge while it was trying to escape the police in Chicago. So it was a monumental restoration to put it back to its original condition, and now it's completed. In our European class, we have one of my favorite cars, a 1925 Renault touring car. And I'm sure everybody feels the same way that I do, that the Renaults in this period of time were pretty astounding cars. So it's a big 6-cylinder, 4-door touring car. And I don't know if there's another one in America, but that'll be here for us to see. And then 2 great DeSoto Freshchinis. So Robert Judson is bringing a 27 DeSoto, and Jim Patterson is bringing a 24 DeSoto. The interesting thing about this car, an Italian manufacturer built in the mid-20s, but in the 30s it was rebodied by Warblaufen, which was a Swiss coach builder. It's a real international car, astounding automobile. You're going to love it. I love it.
Hi everybody, I'll keep my remarks pretty brief, but thank you Diane, we absolutely enjoy working with you. Isn't her enthusiasm for automotive and vehicles just like, it's so energizing and amazing, so we appreciate you and our partnership with you. So at Quicken Loans and the family of companies, we really and truly believe that Detroit's rich automotive history is just as important to its current success as it was to its history. And so we are thankful to have partners like the America's Automotive Trust, as well as Diane, and as well as David. Hope he gets better. I don't know if I can say that out loud. Okay, get better, David. But having partners like that, as well as Max and the North American International Auto Show, are partners, and so we just really enjoy welcoming them to Campus Martius Park, Cadillac Square. Happy to hear that you're kicking off in a warmer state. Josh really enjoyed it, so maybe we can get him in a vehicle again this year. So thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for coming and supporting this. We definitely have to keep on blending the history with the future and making sure that we support organizations like this so that they can carry on the legacy into the future. Thank you.
Well, as they came out of the Depression, the Graham brothers didn't do quite as well as they thought. And they really needed to go back and do a new design. So they asked Amos Northup again, can you pull something, can you pull another rabbit out of the hat? Can you make something that will just really captivate folks? And they made the Spirit of Motion was designed by Amos Northup. Unfortunately, he slipped and fell on Valentine's Day in 1937 on the corner of 10 Mile and Woodward, hit his head, and passed away. The Graham brothers, a couple years later, after putting an engine in what effectively was a Accord and calling it the Hollywood, left the automobile industry. They took their holdings and they invested in a piece of real estate. You may know this one, Madison Square Garden. So fast forward now to 2014. The Historic Vehicle Association, in cooperation and partnership with the U.S. Department of Interior and Library of Congress, launched the National Historic Vehicle Register, similar to the National Register for Historic Places. We were able to bring 10 automobiles out onto the National Mall for the announcement of a single car. It was actually the Myers-Manx, the first fiberglass dune buggy. We had a display of 10 automobiles that represented 10 decades of automobile history. And we invited the Grand Blue Street, this particular car, out there for that day. And we actually 3D scanned the cars on the National Mall, in the middle of the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The car was owned by Nicola Bulgari. Nicola basically found this car in Lancaster and decided to bring it back to life because he knew that the Graham Motor Company and Amos Northup's legacy had been forgotten. He wanted to show everybody that this was actually something worthy of actually celebrating. So we had it out on the National Mall, and for that, he came down to the National Mall. Nicola Bulgari came down that day and just couldn't believe what was going on in Washington with our National Historic Vehicle Register program. When we took the car back up to Allentown, where the NB Center for American Automotive Heritage is, we had to clear out a bunch of cars to do the photography that would go into the Library of Congress. And as we cleared everything out, Nicola Bulgari said to us, hey, what are you guys doing here? What's going on? Well, we need to take photographs in a certain way for it to go and to be held in perpetuity for 500 years. And we need to put it on a neutral background. We need to do it far enough away that when we do it, there will be no distortion, because this is going to live forever. And a few days later, he came back to us and said, I'd like to help you out. I'd like to build you a studio. I'd like to build you a lab. And that's our lab today. So today we are actually located in Allentown, Pennsylvania with our national lab. It's a state-of-the-art national lab that, where we do 3D scanning, all of our photography, and all of our archives. And those archives are where we record the nation's automotive heritage. During the Concours, we will announce this particular automobile, the Grand Blue Streak, as the 19th automobile on the National Historic Vehicle Register. Our objective is to share America's automotive heritage with the American people, and it's our distinct pleasure to do that here at the Concours and to do it in its hometown of Detroit. Thank you.